Hello everyone and welcome to Uncle Iroh's Tea Shop. Today we've got some really big news to talk about. I was not expecting this to come out today, although I had heard rumblings that we were going to get something relatively soon this month regarding Avatar Studios and their new projects. News that just so happens to revolve around their new Avatar sequel series following the next Avatar after Korra. This news mainly revolves around plot details that have been revealed through speculation, but also some trusted sources that I know have their hand in the pot of the Avatar world. I do hope you are ready, so sit back, relax, and enjoy some jasmine tea as we run through this news video. Let's not waste any time and just jump right into it with this article that comes from my good friend Caleb Williams at Night Edge Media. I've said already many times before, he is one of the main guys who has his hand in the pot of the Avatar world with regards to breaking news about it. He released an article this morning about a rumor of the Avatar series coming from Avatar Studios following who the new Avatar will be and what the plot essentially is going to be like. Let's start off with this first chunk of the article. Not much is known about this next Avatar series. However, we at Night Edge Media can exclusively tell you that 2 episodes are finished as of July 2024 in the storyboard/animatics stage with voiceovers. We teased this series over the summer on Twitter, and we can verify that the next Earth Avatar will be female again, following Avatar Korra. She will be seen as a homeless young girl alongside her animal guide, who looks like a large feline-type creature. She is also a paraplegic, missing her left leg. The series also takes place sometime in the future, as the storyboards look like people ride on hoverboards, though it could simply be someone air surfing, as the airbenders should be pretty well established by this time. So let's just break all that down, because this is pretty massive stuff. Regarding the fact that 2 episodes are completed and finished, this is good news for the idea of when we could expect this series to release. As everyone here knows, animated projects, whether it's a movie or a television series, take a very long time to make, simply because of the fact that they are animated. Animated as opposed to live action takes way longer to produce, and so I would expect if there are only 2 episodes done as of right now, we could potentially see this show come out relatively within the next 2 years. I'd say either at the minimum at the end of 2025 or at the maximum sometime in 2026, at the midpoint of the year to the end of it. The point about there also already being voiceovers done means that they are simultaneously doing everything at once, which I personally like to hear, as opposed to another animated project like the next Spider-Verse movie, which right now is all over the place with where they are looking at for doing the voiceover work versus the animated work. Let's move off that boring stuff though and actually get into the nitty-gritty. So the next Avatar is going to be a woman, as I think was rumored a while back anyways, and so we as fans already knew that detail. The paraplegic stuff is actually something that came out a little bit more recently in the last year or so. I do love the fact that she is going to have an animal guide, just like the last 2 have had, as you can see based on the image in the article that is used as a reference. I think that that is a staple for what the character of the Avatar is meant to have, whether it is Appa for Aang or if it's Naga for Korra. Now, the point at the end of this paragraph about the whole hoverboard thing really fascinates me, because for those who are watching and have been with my channel for a while now, I made a video recently talking about the potential of what it would mean for the next series to be futuristic and more cyberpunk-like in its setting. If this point in the article backs up what I was talking about, I'm going to be very curious to see how that splits up the fans. I made points in that video to discuss the idea of what it would mean to have the good of a cyberpunk-like setting versus the bad of what it could potentially look like if it were to change the ideas of the world of Avatar and how it was set up originally. Caleb does well to make a point that it could just simply be someone air surfing, like how we know that the airbenders use things like gliders to fly, and airbending helps them through that kind of stuff. However, as we know, with the Legend of Korra, we did see a progression with the actual setting of the world as technology started to advance, and we were seeing things so dystopian in look and its design from what the last Airbender series was doing. It would not shock me if they took that to the extreme again, and we saw an even bigger progression in technology in this new series, with how far in the future it will possibly be taking place. Those plot details are still under wraps, it seems, as far as how many years in the future it will be, so we'll just have to wait to see for when that comes out. This next paragraph here in the article is very interesting. Now, our source has given some additional context on the stage of the Avatar universe. By the time we meet this new Avatar, as we couldn't verify these additional plot details, we labeled them as rumors for now until officially announced. Jumping right into it, the four nations do not exist anymore. The series will establish that some unknown cataclysmic event will occur that Avatar Korra will be forced to stop. She will, in turn, be forced to reshape the entire world from the original foreign nations to 7 new locations/countries or havens. Caleb says in parentheses, he is told could be the subtitle of the new series. This would effectively make Avatar Korra the most powerful avatar known in the lore due to her ability to break and remake the world on her own. I'm speculating, but I assume this event is what ultimately kills Avatar Korra, leading to the reincarnation of the next avatar who will be of the Earth element. Okay, so we have a lot to unpack there, yet again, like with the first paragraph. This idea of the cataclysmic event is seemingly something that the future of Avatar projects is going to have some level of focus to, as we know that the new RPG game that was announced recently is also going to be following some idea of a cataclysmic event that took place over 7,000 years in the past before Avatar Aang and Avatar Korra. I think if this was something that the Avatar creators Michael and Brian wanted to integrate more into the lore of this world, I would be perfectly fine with that. I don't think it is ultimately something that changes so much of what we know about this universe, just as long as it's not overly done to the point where it's in every single new Avatar project, which I would expect it wouldn't be. As this paragraph says, this event will turn the world upside down and destroy the idea of the four nations and turn them more into our country-like locations, or havens as they are called. This fascinates me so much, and yet I find that it could lead to a very interesting story depending on what it is that they are going for. It could lead to this idea that just because the four nations don't exist anymore as their separate locations, doesn't mean that the people who represent them are not of those nations to represent, regardless of where on the map of the world they lie. We could see now that the Fire Nation is on the right side of the map, where the Water Tribes are now on the left side together, removing the idea of the North and South tribes. Again, I don't think this personally would change much, it would just be interesting to look at from a story perspective. Now, this stuff about Korra is interesting to me, because I think in some regard it does make sense. If this cataclysmic event is the final thing in her time as Avatar that she needs to stop before the next reincarnation comes about, I think it would be a fitting end for her character. The idea that it would also make her the most powerful Avatar to date also fits in line with that idea, although technically speaking, it would not make her the first Avatar to change how the world looks. As we've seen in previous examples, Avatar Kyoshi, when fighting against Chin the Conqueror, used her Avatar powers to literally split the land in half and separate a small island away from Chin and his forces, and this is ultimately what created what we know now as Kyoshi Island. So I definitely think there should be a distinction for what we consider is land changing of the world on the map for what an Avatar can do. This cataclysmic event would make Korra change everything, but it wouldn't make her the first Avatar to change actual land, so I thought I would point that out. And to go back to the point about the new series, take all this with a grain of salt, as Caleb does make a reminder that this is a rumor of what could happen. So moving on to the final paragraph, with that point in mind, he does have more to speculate on with this. Once the new Earth Avatar is born, we learn she will actually be from a set of identical twins. This has long been a theory on what would happen with twins. The recent novel, The Reckoning of Roku, played this, establishing Roku had a twin who died sometime before he was announced as the Avatar. However, whether the novels are canon with Mike DiMartino involvement is unknown. Nevertheless, these twins will be the focal point of the series. The White Lotus is expected to have taken one of the twins and raised her in wealth, as she is seen as the more powerful of the two. It is unknown if they are separated at birth or as toddlers, but the second twin somehow ends up cast aside and forgotten. She grows up on the streets of one of the new havens with her animal guide. Eventually, the two twins are reunited and begin training together, as the non-Avatar twin is still very powerful and has actual training from the White Lotus. Again, this is speculation, but the series could eventually introduce both, having a part of Rava in them, thus technically both are the Avatar, but that is unknown. They could also play with the Dark and Light Avatar stories again, but that seems like a retread of The Legend of Korra Season 2 and extremely underwhelming. Firstly, let me just get it out of the way, but as Caleb points out at the very end, this could kind of be like a retread with Legend of Korra Season 2, and personally speaking, I don't think I want to see that again. The Legend of Korra Season 2 is maybe my least favorite season of that show, and so Personally, for me, I would rather they not go down that route again. Regarding the twin idea, as much as I feel like I could be torn about this, I'm actually very intrigued to see what they will do with it, especially with this idea that Caleb put forward in his article that one of them is the Avatar, but the other one is not, and it's just a very powerful person who has the ability to be raised by the White Lotus and is a really good bender. As we know, they are a secret society in this universe that prioritizes the knowledge and training of the Avatar. So essentially, for a good portion of the show, we could speculate that they are training someone who they believe is the Avatar, but is not because of the fact that they had the wrong twin. I won't lie, at face value, that does come off as a bit of a plot hole if they don't even know that they were training the real Avatar. Maybe they can write it in a way where it'll make sense to us, but I digress. Because of the potential of this twin idea, if it's not written well, it could fail pretty quickly on its merits. But if it is done really well, then it could be really awesome. I'm going to end that conversation right there because I want to make an entirely separate video about that for the future. I think just the ideas alone that this paragraph in the article communicates are fascinating. I think there is so much potential for what this new sequel series could give us that I could make multiple videos on it. So with that being said, I'm going to end off the video there and ask that you stay tuned for the future if you are interested to see me cover more stuff about this. I want to give thanks again to Caleb Williams for posting about this, as us fans now have so much to speculate on. I recommend you go check out his outlet Night Edge Media and give him a follow on Twitter. Do also be sure to go and check out my other Avatar YouTuber friends who I would definitely assume will be posting about this news. What do you all think about this news reveal though? Let me know down below in the comments. If you did enjoy the video and you want to see more, be sure to drop it a like, and if you are new to this channel, subscribe and turn on that notification bell. I hope everyone here has a wonderful rest of the day, and I will see you all soon for more Avatar.